Welcome to Gentle Yoga. I'm going to come to sit. I'm going to come to sit here in my Virasana pose. Sitting in Virasana with my block squeezed between my feet. Maybe it's one block, maybe it's two blocks, depending on your needs today, sitting on the very edge of that block. Right, you could try whatever seated posture feels best for you, but I really like Virasana. Now, if you're somebody who has kind of flexibility issues with the ankles and you get foot cramps easily, you might come to a different seated posture. You might even sit on a chair if that is something that would feel better for you. Just going to start our class with a quote from the Yoga Sutras. I'm just going to repeat the quote. Practice becomes firmly established when it is cultivated uninterruptedly and with devotion over a prolonged period of time. That's from the Yoga Sutras, our first writings of yoga. And when I'm in this class, Embodied Philosophy, that discusses all of the Yoga Sutras, uninterruptedly for a long period of time, my teacher says that could mean lifetimes. So, and the goal of yoga is basically freedom. The goal of yoga is the cessation of the turnings of thought, and freedom of spirit. So I would like to just remind you, of some of the ancient text, because this is what our whole practice is based on. However, you might have a different reason and goal for yourself for why you practice yoga. So today we're going to explore a little bit of your why and your sankalpa or intention for practicing yoga. But first, let's get started with some breathing. So I've come to sit up nice and tall on the edge of my block, and I'm just going to rinse my shoulders up, back, and down a few times. Maybe getting rid of any little kinks in the shoulders and the neck. Right, and notice if you're really far forward or if you're really far back, and trying to find some nice stable in between, knowing you can shift your posture at any time. So let's begin with the hand on the heart, hand on the belly. I'm going to take a deep breath in. Maybe sigh it out the mouth. Inhaling through the nose. Exhaling through the nose or mouth. Maybe turning my attention a little more inwardly. Filling up the belly with my breath. Taking now 5 bees breaths. Bees breath is where we create a hum on the exhalation and inhale through the nose on the inhale. So let's give 5 bees breaths here. Inhaling. And one more bees breath. Just allowing that sound to resonate through your body, through your mind. Keeping the eyes closed for just a moment longer and asking ourselves the question, why? Why am I here today on the mat? What brought me to yoga today? Why? Asking myself the question, why? and perhaps forming an intention around the why as we move through the rest of our session today. For example, I might be coming to yoga today because I need to get grounded. I'm sometimes a little scattered, so I might form a sankalpa. I am present. That's my why today. I am present. So finding your intention, breathing that in, breathing that out. And maybe something doesn't immediately come to you, and we'll find it during the class, or we'll find it at the end of class. Okay, so now let's come up onto the knees just for a moment. And if you have tender knees, you can pad up under the knees. You can roll the mat, up and pad up, or you can grab a blanket or something. I'm gonna stack 2 blocks between my feet, 2 blocks between my feet, and squeeze the blocks a little bit. So you might kind of feel your glute muscles starting to fire up. And maybe you take the hands on the belly and kind of feel that belly firming up, and take a breath in and a breath out. I'm going to start to twist to my right side and reach back onto my block. Taking a peek down, finding my block. I'll take my left hand now up onto my heart. Take a big breath into that hand. You could stay here, or maybe, as Leanne, this is your nature, you want to reach up with that left hand, right? Just inviting the day to reveal what it has in store for you. Good. Coming back up nice, and so we'll reset to center. Maybe we'll take that hand right onto the right hand onto the heart, twist to the left, touch down onto your blocks with the left hand, still engaging through the legs, lifting up into the hand with the heart. Maybe that right arm reaches up, still breathing and releasing back to neutral. Now I'm going to place my hands in my back pockets. I'm going to pretend I have back pockets here. No leggings I know of have back pockets though. So squeezing the legs and just lifting the heart, leaning back a little bit, squeezing the elbows towards each other. I'm going to keep my chin level today. I'm not going to look up today. Just want to keep grounded. That's my goal. But if you feel like you have a lot of energy and you feeling grounded already, you might look up. Big breath in and release back to neutral. Okay, so nice little back extension to start. We'll come now onto hands and knees. Hands and knees, just for a moment. You might wiggle the hips back and forth a few times. Take a peek down at your hands. Spread them nice and wide. Hands are right underneath the shoulders. Knees underneath the hips, and we'll begin to move the spine. So sink your belly, lift your head, lift your heart, and this will form the shape of cow shape. And then we'll slowly pull the belly up and in and tuck the chin. This will form the cat shape. Taking care here if you have severe osteoporosis, not to round too deeply. We're just going to move back and forth, right? We're going to be arching the back and rounding the back at your own pace. And maybe it's a really small, subtle movement this morning. Try to use your breath, inhaling and exhaling at your own pace too. We'll take one more round. And then I'm going to tuck my toes under and sit back on my toes just a little bit. See how that feels? I'm going to keep my fingers plugged into the earth. Right? If this feels like a lot for you, you can lean more forward. If this is really easy for you and you love the feeling of a toe stretch, you could even sit up on your toes. And that might feel really intense for some people though. So it's also might feel intense on the knees. So just take care of yourself this morning. You already made it to yoga, so that's half the battle. But then in our practice of yoga, we also try to do no harm. Coming forward again. This time I'm going to just stretch my right leg long. Stretching my right leg long, rocking forward, rocking back. And then I'm going to go ahead and lift my right leg up straight out from my hip. Right, I've got good engagement in my arms, so I'm kind of pushing the earth away. And I'm going to hold here, nice stable pelvis. Big breath in. You can gaze at the top of your mat. And from here, I'm going to try lifting the left arm. Lifting the left arm. So you've got this good extension, nice, strong, stable balance. Right? That left arm is straight out. That's good, Cindy. And switching sides, nice and slow. Left leg comes back. We're just going to rock forward, rock back. See how this side feels. And then lifting this left heel up off the earth, straight out from the hip. And reaching that right arm forward. So this side could feel different, just taking your time. Nice, guys. And reset. Let's go back and forth between the sides. Opposite arm, inhale, lift. Exhale, release down. Trying to keep that pelvis nice and stable. This is a great spine stretch. Good work for the back as well as the abdominal muscles. Breathing in, breathing out. Nice, Matthew, you got it. So I could just pick up where Barb left off, no problem. Good, we'll take one more on each side, wherever you are. So you get an equal number of opposite arm, opposite leg, balancing tiger, we call it. And then I'm going to sit back into my child's pose. So I'm going to bring a little space between my knees, sit back on my heels, stretch my arms forward, let the forehead rest, maybe on a block or on the mat. Down here in child's pose, perfect opportunity to reset the breath. Reconnect with your intention, your why. And if child's pose isn't, easily accessible to you, modify, bring the floor up to you. That's good, Deb. And now we'll slowly come up out of the child's pose. I'm going to take the blocks into my hands. Taking the blocks into my hands just to give myself a little added height. I'm going to drag the right knee forward and the left knee back. So this feels like a nice stretch from my left hip. Engage your left glute muscle. So kind of squeeze the left butt a little bit and take a peek over the right shoulder. Peeking over the right shoulder, right? And taking good care. If you're feeling stressed in the neck, you might not go as far. That's good. Lifting the heart. Big breath in. We'll slowly reset. Drag that left knee all the way up and the right knee all the way back. See if you can squeeze the right butt muscle. Sitting up nice and tall. That's good, Leanne. Taking a peek over the left shoulder. Breath in. Breath out. And resetting back to neutral. Now I'm going to go ahead and explore my downward facing dog. You could take the hands off the blocks, or you could try a downward facing dog with blocks in the hands. Sometimes I like to angle my blocks a little bit. If it feels like really too slippery and slidey, go ahead and take the hands down off the blocks, or come to that piece of furniture to bring, the floor up to you, especially if you have high blood pressure and you don't want the head below the heart. That's good, guys. Maybe you pedal out the feet. And now we'll come up onto tiptoes.
bend the knees, take a lot of little steps towards the hands. The hands can walk back towards the feet. I'm going to come up halfway, kind of reset with my elbows on my knees. Take a breath, and then we'll come into a ragdoll forward fold. I might keep a pretty heavy bend to my knees if I have low back issues. Grab opposite elbows and really let the head hang. Maybe you can even bring a little movement, kind of shaking the head from side to side. Letting go of the shoulders. Don't forget to breathe. Good, and then we'll slowly come on up. Slowly come up. I'm going to grab my blocks today and place one between my feet and one between my thighs. So kind of reset here. You could grab a sip of water if you need it, sip of coffee if you're still caffeinating. Resetting your view so I can see you better if you need to. All right. Anchoring down through the feet. Squeeze that block. Imagining your pelvis is like a bowl. And that bowl could tip forward or it could tip back. And finding something more towards the tipping back side. And sometimes you'll hear a yoga instructor say, tuck the tailbone. And I find that to be a very, confusing cue, tuck the tailbone. Pull the belly button towards the spine. Do you feel that strength there in the legs? We'll inhale the arms out and up, and hands will come through heart center. Continuing on, inhale, arms out and up. Exhale, hands to heart center. Beautiful, inhale. And exhale. And two more. Just wide circles, pressing the palms together. Last one. Good, I'm gonna slowly bring my arms down at my sides. Bring just the right arm straight out in front, scooping underneath and drawing the arm across the body. It's a good shoulder stretch. I keep my right shoulder nice and low. And then you can play around with where the head and the neck are tilting. You can explore, more sensation that way, or you could keep the head straight. I feel more sensation when I tilt my head towards the shoulder that's being stretched. But you might feel differently. Good, and releasing, we'll switch sides. Left arm lift, scoop underneath. Draw the arm across the body. Keep that left shoulder nice and low, right? So if you're hiking the shoulder up, you're not going to get as much out of this. And then you can explore head movement within this shape. Good, and releasing. Very good, guys. So I'm going to take my right hand onto my cheek. My right hand onto my cheek. And I'm going to start to twist my torso only to the right without moving my head. Right? Turning my whole torso to the right without moving my head. My hand is there just to remind me not to turn my head. And then I'm going to come back to center. And I'm going to switch sides. See how much you can twist without using the head? See how much you can use the torso. Twisting to the left. Good, reset. And now we'll bring the arms out to the sides. We'll do that same thing. See if you can keep your head straight ahead, and maybe at the last minute you can turn the neck. So twisting to the right, using the whole torso. And then maybe you peek over the right shoulder. Inhale to center. Exhale, twist, twist, twist with the torso. Finally, you might look over the left shoulder. Maybe one more on each side. So take it nice and slow. See how much you can really experience here in the torso.
Very good, guys. Meet me back in mountain pose. Now I'm going to bend my knees, shift my weight back. My hips are back. I'm squeezing that block in my chair pose. I'll bring my arms straight out in front of me. And now we'll inhale and lift and straighten. Exhale, side bend to the right. Inhale, center. Exhale, sink down into your chair pose, weight back in the heels. Good. Inhale, lift. Exhale, side bend left. Inhale, center. Exhale, sink way down deep. Good. Inhale, lift. Exhale, side bend right. Inhale, center. Exhale, sink down. You got it. Inhale, lift. Exhale, side bend left. Good, Ted. Inhale, center. Last one, sinking down into our deep, deep, really comfortable chair pose, isn't it? Imagining your favorite chair. You are that chair. Good. Inhale, straighten everything. You can release the blocks for the time being. And I'm just going to kind of hold my arms somewhat loosely here as I pick up my right leg and bring it into like a little hip rotation thingy. Right? Breathing in, breathing out. It's kind of a little bit of a wider stance. Breathing with this motion going as slowly or as quickly as you like. Good. Trying to keep that torso nice and upright, right? Rather than jetting the hips forward or rounding the back. Right? If it felt natural, what if you move the opposite arm from the leg that's lifting? Is that getting really complicated? Oh, yeah. Keep your breath moving. Maybe you make it fast. Maybe you make it slow. All right. Come on, dance with me. Yes, Leanne, I love it. Beautiful. You got it, Walt. We'll take one more on each side. Having a little fun, right? Gotta have a little fun. Beautiful, Beth. Reset, mountain pose. Let's inhale the arms up. Exhale, take a nice slow fold forward, keeping a little bend to the knees if need be. We're going to inhale and come up halfway. Exhale, fold forward, or you could stay lifted, up to you. Shaking the head loose. Inhale the arms out and up, rising all the way up. Hands to heart center. Hands to the hips. Step the right foot forward. Left foot back at a little bit of an angle. You could take a nice wide base if need be. For our warrior one, I'm going to sink into my right knee and kind of notice here what's happening with my hips. I might try to bring this left hip forward a little bit, right? If I feel like it's really twisting. And now I'll hook the thumbs in front of me and inhale the arms up. Reach, reach, reach really far up. Maybe the shoulders kind of creep up by the ears a little bit and then come down. Maybe we can kind of explore that. But keeping the arms lifted. 2 more breaths. Right, so check out your right knee. Make sure it's right over the ankle, not far forward of the ankle. And if that's you, you might be able to lengthen your stance. Bringing that back foot farther back. Good. Nice job, guys. We'll bring the hands to the hips. I'm going to start to bring the weight into my right foot. And I'm just going to lift up my left leg and come back down. I might keep a bend in my right knee. This is going to help me strengthen my knee, the muscles in my knee, and take a little bit less pressure on the hip. I might keep my left leg lifted with the toe pointing down. Maybe the arms come out to the sides. We take a little airplane trip in the mind to somewhere we really feel like traveling to, and we can't right now. Taking our Let's call it the airplane pose today. Warrior 3. Nice. Good job, guys. Resetting back to mountain pose. Walk it out a little bit. And then we'll go ahead and come to warrior 1. Nice, nieces. You got that. Opposite arm, opposite leg movement going on. Come to our warrior 1 on the other side. Left foot forward, right foot back at a little bit of an angle. Trying to keep our hips pointed to the top of the mat. So as I bend into this left knee, keeping the left knee above the ankle. If it really, if you can see from my side, if it's like going really far forward, then that means I could lengthen my stance a little bit. That makes sense? Hooking the thumbs in front, maybe the opposite thumb on top. Inhale the arms up. Taking care, right, that my ribs aren't just kind of gaping open. I'm gonna, again, pull that belly button towards the spine a little bit. Breath in, breath out. That's good, and slowly bringing the hands down. And I'm going to hop the back foot forward, shorten my stance a little bit, bring my weight into my left foot, pick up that right leg a few times. Right? If you're caring for issues in the hips in particular, you might stay dynamic rather than holding this. You might skip it. Right? You might keep a nice bend to that left knee, and maybe that leg lifts up. You could use a piece of furniture or a windowsill. That's good, Beth. You got it, Judy. Big breath in. All right. Nice job, guys. Resetting to mountain pose. We'll take a little walk to the back of the mat, making any movements along the way, taking a sip of water if need be. Then I'm going to bring my feet together, bringing my feet together at the back of the mat and stepping the left foot forward so that the heel and the toes are touching. Walking on my little imaginary balance beam here. The hands could stay on the hips, or maybe they come out to the sides. And just explore how much weight is in each foot. Try to find something that's stable. And we're just hanging out here with the left foot in front of the right. You could take a slow blink or close the eyes. And now stepping the right foot in front of the left. Explore how much weight is in each foot. Right, just gonna stay here, close my eyes, or do the slow blink. You will experience, if you close the eyes, you will experience movement. And that movement is a really good strengthening for your balance. Good, one more on each side. We'll step the left foot forward. Find that equal weight between the feet. Are you breathing? Do you remember why you're here? Yes, keep going. One more in front of the other. Slow blink. Close the eyes. Awesome. And then meeting me in mountain at the top of the mat. Nice job, guys. Some of you said you wanted to work on balance today. Let's explore a balance pose that also comes with a little bit of a twist. Okay, you might decide you just want to stay in the balance without the twist if you're feeling wobbly, or you might take a hand onto a wall or piece of furniture. So I'm going to bring my weight into my right foot, little bendy bounce. And I'm just going to lift up my left leg and push that knee into my hand and maybe get a little higher than I might normally. Once again, if you're caring for hip issues today, you might kind of shorten the time you're spending doing this. Very good, guys. I'm going to open my arms out to the sides. And just like we did with our torso twist before, we're going to take a slow twist. This time we're going to twist to the left. Twisting to the left, using my torso, trying to stay steady. If you fall out of it, that's okay. Come back into it. Maybe you peek behind the right
arm. And that's a challenge for me, keeping the breath moving, slowly windmilling your way back to center. Nice, guys, and reset. Yeah, kick out that right leg. Shorten the time you spend in the pose if you're caring for your hip issues. Beep, boop, you know who I'm talking to. Okay, weight in the left leg. And I'm gonna pick up my right knee and push it into my hand nice and tall. Maybe you just stay here without the twist, right? I'm gonna lift my arms out to the side and take a twist to the right. I'm in no hurry. Maybe I take a peek over that right shoulder. That's good. And when you're ready, you can come back to center and release. Nice, guys. Meet me in mountain pose. Inhale the arms out and up. Exhale, slow fold forward, no hurry. Inhale, halfway lift. Exhale, let's plant the hands and come into your tabletop pose. Coming into tabletop pose. We'll take a few rounds of cat-cow. And then I'll tuck my toes under, lift my hips, and find downward facing dog. Maybe I need a couch or a chair for that. That's okay. You need to bring the floor up to you. And think of me kind of coming from behind you and pulling your thighs back towards the wall behind you and your shoulders forward so you get this nice length in your spine. And then we're going to ripple forward into a high plank. So the shoulders are over the wrists. I'm going to push the floor away. I almost have a little cat shape to my upper back, little roundedness to my upper back. Breath in, breath out. And then I'll bring my knees down and come all the way down onto the belly, allowing the forehead to touch just for a moment. And then we're going to come up into a baby cobra. Inhale, lift the head and heart, squeeze the shoulder blades together. Not much weight in the hands, and really activate your legs as well. Big breath in, and then push your way back to your downward facing dog. Push your way back to downward dog. Finding the breath. The hands are shoulder width distance apart. The feet are hip width distance apart. I'm going to inhale onto my tiptoes, bend my knees, take some steps forward, take my hands back, come up halfway. Taking another ragdoll forward fold. Another ragdoll forward fold. Cindy, this should feel good for your neck. Kind of releasing the neck, releasing the weight of the head, and just moving the head from side to side, keeping that breath going. And then we'll slowly make our way back up to mountain pose. I'm gonna go ahead and take my strap into my hands. Take the strap into your hands and let's explore. This time the hands pointing forward. Hands pointing forward. The strap is about shoulder width distance apart, and I'm just going to be lifting the strap up behind me and releasing back down. Inhaling and exhaling. Seeing how this feels for you. If you need a little extra space, you might widen out on the strap. Taking care to keep the lower part of your body engaged. Maybe you go a little higher, kind of tugging on that strap a little bit. You got it. Maybe we'll take 3 more. Does this feel really strange? From you'd rather do it with the hands pointing the other way, you can always shift. Good, and then releasing the strap to the front. Bring the strap into the front, about a little wider than shoulder width distance, a nice wide stance in the legs. I'm gonna inhale the arms up, and I'm just gonna move my arms. Just moving my arms back and forth so you can feel the stretch in the side body. So the head stays straight up. Yeah, it's very different. And then if you felt like you just really wanted that dramatic movement, you could bring some movement into the side body too. Good, and releasing, maybe the strap comes behind you and down. Good, just taking a moment to place the strap to the side. We'll take a nice wide stance on the mat with the toes and the knees pointing in the same direction, kind of out to the sides like a little Charlie Chaplin. And then I'm going to bend into my knees, right? Taking good care. If you're working with hip issues today, maybe you have a really short stance for this. And once again, I'm going to ask you to imagine your pelvic bowl and allow that pelvic bowl to tilt back a little bit. Pelvic bowl tilting back a little bit. Bring my arms out to the sides. Maybe I'll make fists for this good strength I'm feeling in my body today. Taking a breath in, goddess pose. You could squeeze the legs towards each other. Really fire up the insides of the legs. And now I'm going to inhale and straighten everything. Come to my star pose, stretching my arms, sinking back down into goddess. Maybe I go a little deeper. Again, pelvic bowl, tilting back. Very good, guys. Inhale, straighten. Exhale, sink. Last one. Inhale, straighten. Toes and knees pointed in the same direction. Exhale, sink. Right, take a peek down. Make sure that's happening for you. Really nice, Cindy. You got it, Goldens. And slowly stretching everything. We'll heel toe the feet back together. Take the hands on the hips. Take some circular motion into the hips. Once again, I'll take some space between the feet, moving into my triangle pose. So the right toes will point to the right. I'm going to angle my left toes in, kicking this left hip out. I'm just going to go down a little bit. See how that feels. Trying to keep everything in this line, my shoulders in line with my legs. And then maybe my right arm will lift. If you're caring for your neck today, gazing straight ahead, not gazing up. You could even gaze down if it would feel better. Maybe I can come down a little farther without losing that length in my torso, without that left shoulder crumbling forward. So we want to keep that left shoulder back. Holding your triangle, one more breath. Okay, and slowly making your way up. Good, Vicky. Little hip circle between sides, and then we'll switch sides. Triangle on the other side, left. Toes to one side. I'm going to angle my right foot in just a little bit, kicking this right hip out as I reach down my left leg. Keeping my right shoulder back in space, and maybe eventually that right arm lifting. I could gaze up or I could gaze straight ahead. That's good, Leanne. Finding the breath. I'm not putting too much weight in this front arm. Trying to stay lifted using my right side body. Breath in And slowly make your way up. Nice, guys. Walk it out. We'll take one more balance pose today, and then we'll begin to wind down. One more balance. So let's take a tree pose with the weight in the right foot to start. Right? If your hips are killing you and you've had enough balance, you can come to sit and do some stretches on the mat. Okay. I'm going to bring the weight into my right foot, pick up my left heel, open the knee to the side. And already I just kind of notice that I'm kind of sinking into my right hip. So I kind of want to zip all that up. And then I'll find my point of contact. Maybe that's the calf today. Maybe I can begin to manually tuck this foot up higher. It's not really important where the foot is. What's important is your sense of balance. Right? Maybe the arms reach up overhead. Maybe you hook the thumbs together. Maybe you keep the arms wide like branches, or you hold on to a piece of furniture or wall. Can you engage that right glute muscle? Good. Big breath in. If you fall out of it, come right back to it. That's good, Larry. You make a very nice tall tree. And releasing slowly and walking it out. Maybe you take a little jog around the block, meet me for a cup of coffee at the cafe, and then we'll be right back for tree pose, other side. I wish we could do that, meet for a cup of coffee. Doesn't that sound good? Weight in the left foot. Okay, pick up that right heel. Open the knee to the side. Notice what happens in this left hip. See if you can kind of zip it all up. Find your point of contact. It could be the calf. It could be the thigh, right? If the hips allow. Don't force it. Maybe I hook the thumbs and lift my arms up. Finding your breath, finding your place to gaze. That's great, Carol. Great. Beautiful job, Beth. You've got it, Matthew. Total natural. And if you fall out of it, that's okay. If you're caring for various issues, that's good. And we'll release. You got it, guys. Walk it out. I'm coming for that coffee. All right. Let's begin to wind down. So you can come to sit however you want. I like to make a big deal out of coming down slowly, staggering the feet, dropping the back knee down, balancing on the knees. Maybe I take one more little stretch here and then coming to sit. Yeah, nice, Cindy. I'll come sit with the feet straight out in front, and I might decide today to just squeeze that block between my feet. Squeeze that block between your feet, sit up nice and tall. This is challenging. If this is challenging for you, you can find something to sit up against. Working towards, using all this good core strength to sit up tall. I've got my legs straight, but if you need a little bend in the knees, that's fine. Good. I'm going to inhale my arms up and reaching forward and let the hands fall where they may. Maybe that's pretty far up on the legs. Right? Maybe I can reach my toes. Breath in, breath out. There is no perfect in this pose. For me, especially, I have low back issues, so I don't aggressively forward fold. Right, Carol Golden? We don't aggressively forward fold. It's just not going to happen for me to care for my disc herniations. Plural. And we all have these things. You might be able to really round forward and get down deep. And if that's you, go for it. If you don't feel any pain or discomfort, it's a really good stretch, Paschimottanasana, seated forward fold. Very good, guys. Let's come up.
I'm going to take some space between my feet. Wide-legged forward fold. And this, will allow me to keep a flat back. So for the low back issue havers, this might feel a little easier. You might try to lift the heels up off the earth. Really engage the legs. Keep the engagement in the legs, let the heels drop. And you might be walking the hands forward, right, to whatever degree feels possible for you, for your body. It's a big stretch in the hips. So if you're caring for your hips, yeah, that's good. That's good, Deb. You could use a bolster to kind of stay lifted, make it more of a yin experience. Good. Breath in, breath out. Walking ourselves back up. I'm going to bend my knees for a moment here. Just round forward. Come back up to sit. And I'll cross my right ankle over my left knee. I'm going to keep this foot flexed. I'm going to bring my hands behind me and slowly begin to bend my right knee. And immediately I feel like my back has started to round, right? So I'm going to scoot my whole body forward. Scoot my whole body forward till I feel the right amount of sensation for me. And that might be the leg is still on the ground for you. Right? And I'm going to lift my chest, right? So I'm not rounding forward like this. I'm lifting my chest. I'm getting a lot of sensation here in the outside of my right hip. Breath in, breath out. Maybe the gaze is straight ahead, especially if you're caring for neck issues. Keeping that right foot flexed to protect the knee. If you don't feel anything, you could scoot even farther forward. Figure 4. Good. And then we'll switch sides. So left ankle over the right knee. Bend that knee and scoot forward to the degree that feels safe for you. And that could be different on this side. Left foot is flexed. Find what works for you. If you really love doing this on the back, you can always do it on the back. And I'm going to lift my heart and breathe into this. That's good, Deb. I'm releasing. One last thing I'm going to do here. I'm just going to lift both hips. This feels accessible to you. You could lift both hips. If your shoulders aren't tired, you could try this, lifting both hips. Maybe you lean forward a little bit into the ankles. Maybe come back a little bit. Just take good care of you. Right, Cindy, if your left shoulder is still bothering you, this could actually help kind of warm it up a little bit, but good. And then I'm coming down onto my back. Coming down onto the back with the knees bent. The feet are hip distance apart. I'm going to grab my block and I'm going to squeeze a block between my thighs. Squeezing that block between the thighs with the feet remaining hip distance apart. And Larry, you could always do a few of those camel twists if you like. Now I'm going to put my hands, my upper arms, pushing the upper arms into the earth with the fingertips lifted towards the ceiling. The elbows are bent. So walk your feet a little closer together, Matthew. Yeah, there we go. And now we're going to be pushing in and lifting the heart up off the mat, and then the hips. Heart and then hips. Squeeze that block. Welcome to bridge pose with robot arms. Keeping your breath moving, maybe you lift a little higher. And for those of you with the low back issues, the disc herniation, this is great. This is like the antidote as we push the disc material back into the space, assuming that it's the low back area. This will be a good one for you. Now I'm going to reach my arms overhead behind me. I'm still lifted in my hips. And I'm going to come down really slowly, and I'm just exploring if I can feel one vertebra at a time.
And Larry, you could do something where you round forward and lift up one vertebra at a time to feel this sensation. Coming all the way down onto the earth. And we'll try this. Now keep the arms overhead, and I'm going to lift the hips up again. So I want to explore this range in my vertebra again. And this time, if I get to any parts where I just don't really feel anything or it feels really tight, I'm going to stay there and breathe. Right? So coming down, I'm in my upper back, coming to my middle back. I can feel the vertebra, and I've been practicing this, developing awareness of this. It's incredible. And I get to like my upper lower back, and there's a lot of tightness there. So I'm going to hang out there and kind of breathe into that. And then eventually just set my hips down, bring my arms down at my sides. Yeah, it's a really good one, isn't it, Cindy? Feels like a lot to explore there. So I'll take my block to the side, and I'm just going to walk my feet out to the width of my mat. The arms can stretch out to the sides, and I'm just going to bring my knees, both knees to the right side. Both knees to the right side, breathing into that left hip flexor. Resetting the knees to center and coming back the other direction. Both knees now to the left, lots of space between the feet. Breathing into that right hip. And you might do one more on each side, whatever pace feels good to you. You could make this more or less active. When you're finished, go ahead and hug the knees into the chest. That's good, Leanne. Already there. Beautiful. I'm going to rock from side to side, kind of massage my sacrum a little bit. And keeping that right leg hugged in, pressing the left leg long. I'll grab onto the back of my thigh and push the foot up to the sky. So Larry, you could do some of the seated strap stretches if you like, coming to your chair and finding your strap. If you like using a strap, that's always an option here. Maybe the hands come up a little farther on the leg if you're using the hands. You can push the leg into the hands. Breathing into it. Right, maybe you play around with bringing the right leg to the right just a little bit, keeping the left hip down. Holding onto the leg wherever feels good. That right leg is straight. Coming back through center and over to the other side. Crossing the midline of the body with that right leg, which is extended. Yeah, you got it. And we'll reset to center and switch sides altogether now, hugging the left knee in, pressing the right leg long, grabbing onto the back of the left thigh, pushing the foot up towards the ceiling. Good point and flex here. You could be using a strap if that feels better for you. Maybe the hands come up a little higher. You can push the leg into the hands or hand. Trying to keep that right leg engaged as well. So you can, right leg engaged helps me kind of push my my sacrum, my low back into the mat. Good. Maybe I'll bring my left leg out to the left just a little bit, kind of exploring a nice straight left leg. Right leg is long. And coming back to center, crossing the midline of the body with that left leg. Right leg is long on the mat. Good. Release back to center. Hug the knees in. Let's bring the feet down. We're going to take a twist now. So Larry, you could do a seated twist if you like. I'm going to cross my right knee. all the way over the left, so the knees nestle. If you're somebody who has hip issues, you might just keep the knees side by side if this feels like too much. You're going to drop the knees to the left, and the right arm can stretch to the right. Maybe you can try keeping that right shoulder down on the earth. And now we begin to let go of, muscular effort and come into the internal experience of breathing. Maybe you can notice where the energy is in the body. Just doing a seated twist here, Larry, if you haven't already, or whatever would feel good for you. Returning to center from our twist. To that side, we'll cross the left knee over. Bring the knees to the right, dropping the knees towards the right while we leave the left shoulder blade resting on the earth. Making any modifications so you feel like you could hang out here. Right? If you're doing the seated twist, remember you're using the torso. You're using the torso and then turning the head. Slowly returning to center. Couple options here. You could kind of wiggle your way towards a piece of furniture that will allow you to bring the legs. You can rest the legs and the calves up on your furniture, and I'll show you with my chair here what I mean. All right, so legs up the couch. We'll call this pose. Right, I've got my calves supported. If you don't feel like wiggling around, you can stretch the legs up towards the ceiling, keeping the pelvis firmly planted. Right, maybe you found a way to get to your couch and you want a little neck support, that's fine. You could rest the hands on the belly. Take some belly breaths here with me, breathing into the hands. So when we bring the legs up like this, we're kind of helping the liquid come back. It can be wonderful for preventing varicose veins. It can be good for lowering blood pressure. In some cases, doing too much of it is contraindicated. For the most part, this is good for calming, for activating the parasympathetic nervous system. Rest and digest. If you really like this, you could stay here, right? Or if you want to come out of it and come to Savasana for just maybe 30 seconds, you could do that. Maybe for a moment, if you're coming out of legs up the couch, you could stretch everything. Stretch the arms overhead, stretch the legs. Right? You could hang out in Shavasana for a minute, or if you're ready to kind of come up, you could come to seated meditation.
joining me eventually in a seated posture with a tall spine. Just for a moment here, reconnecting with why you've come to class today and what you will take from this class into the rest of your day. We bring hands to heart center. If it's in your practice, you can join me in the creation of one single Om after this inhale. Om. Thank you guys so much for your practice today. Namaste. Feel free to stick around. I do want to let you know that if you're in a group class of mine, you are eligible to come to the Yoga Nidra that is starting up this Sunday for free. The Yoga Nidra is a guided meditation that is done on the back. You can do it from bed or from your couch. So if you're in a group class with me, you're welcome to join Yoga Nidra for free. That's Sunday at 4 p.m. It's a half an hour class, and we do some discussion afterwards.